The Gulf of Mexico oil spill is a problem that simply isn't going to be going away anytime soon. John Amos joins us on the phone now for the latest on the scope of the spill. He is the founder and president of SkyTruth, an organization that investigates environmental issues using satellite imagery. John, how big is this spill right now? Last we checked in, maybe a week ago, we were talking about something the size of New Jersey. More oil keeps gushing out from under the ocean. How large is it?
Well, good morning, Eric and Deirdre. The bad news is that yesterday's satellite image shows we've still got a real beast of an oil slick out there. The satellite image was fairly cloudy, but the parts of the slick that we could see spanned about almost 4,000 square miles. So we've got a major ongoing spill at a rate that SkyTruth estimates is as high as 1.1 million gallons per day. The good news here is that it's made no significant landfall yet, and this really buys some precious time for BP to control this leak and possibly avoid major shoreline damage. And they certainly are throwing the kitchen sink at this right now.
John, I know you're not an expert in oil slick cleanups, but how, in your mind, how possible is it for BP to clean up this mess, given the scale of the spill and what's required to actually get oil off the surface of the ocean?
Well, you know, we're certainly seeing that a spill of this magnitude overwhelms the spill response technologies and capacity that we have today. But it also seems that it's emerging that we really didn't have the kind of equipment on standby that people thought we had. So it's hard to gauge how much better the response could have been at this point had we acknowledged that a spill of this magnitude was still possible and taken the appropriate steps to make sure we had the trained crews with adequate equipment standing by to respond quickly. Because once that oil spreads over such a large area, you're essentially fighting a defensive battle at best.
John, very briefly, we have time for only one more question. Tell me, from what you can see on these satellite images, is the worst case scenario playing out, that the oil is drifting further out into the Gulf, heading towards Florida, and maybe becoming part of the Gulf Stream, which people say could make it an environmental disaster of unprecedented proportions?
Well, the satellite image isn't able to tell us everything about where that oil slick is. It's only really showing us where the thickest parts of the slick are. But what we're seeing is somewhat encouraging in that the bulk of this oil slick seems to not be moving very much. What we can't see, and this is the part that I think troubles a lot of people, is the oil that's underwater and the oil that's being driven underwater by the use of dispersants. That could be getting caught up in subsurface currents in the ocean and taken to places that we're not able to track. And I think that's the big question right now.
John, thanks so much for joining us. John Amos from SkyTruth uses satellite imaging to track environmental disasters.